Chapter 1. Release. The bowstring snapped from my fingers at high velocity, propelling the carbon composite tipped arrow flying through the air to its ultimate destination. The eye of one of those nasty things. We call them husks. They've been cut off from their sentience, had abstractness taken from them. All they have are natural processes now. Eat. Follow sounds. They might be food. Eat. Gain energy. Sustenance. Life. And life always requires death. The virus colonizes the body, or whatever's left of one after decay has gotten its way for months, and what's left of the skin hangs from the skeleton like weather-beaten curtains and drives it like a car. Yeah, it's creepy. But the most hideous part about it is that when the skin comes off, we all look pretty much the same. They aren't human. Not anymore, anyway. But their skeletons are. When they die, bacteria consumes their flesh just the same as ours. If you get to a town, sometimes it's hard to piece together what happened in any given home, simply because it's impossible to tell which bones were still human and which were no longer at the time of parting. I drew my knife from the scabbard on my waist, walked toward the corpse to get my arrow back. I was pleased to find it had not been damaged. I was getting better. I looked around, grabbed what canned food and other usable items I could find, and loaded them into my sea bag. Is it thievery? Thievery has no meaning in this context. And context is everything, isn't it? I went out of the house just as one of my fixers, mechanics, electricians, handymen, my fixers were amazing, was coming to find me. He looked worried. "What's up?" I called out to him. "Hey, Godfather, we've got a snag. The truck got overheated on the way here. The radiator's shot. We have a spare, but we didn't notice until just now. We got to start checking for that. But anyway, by the time we get to the new one, it'll be a little late to head back today. We'll have to stay here for the night. Sorry, man. Don't worry about it, Smalls. We'll be fine here. We'll just make sure to clear out any houses we didn't search and have a couple watches at a time." He turned and left to go about his tasks. I was on a supply run with a supply team. Every supply team was made up of various roles. Each team had a creeper, basically a scout, whose job it was to go ahead of the group and get an idea of what lay ahead. 2 or 3 fixers, at least one, sometimes 2 sharpshooters, who in the event of a firefight hang back and provide long-range support, and 2 to 3 phalanxes, who use machetes and knives to form a wall against large groups of husks, allowing the other team members to strategically clear out the horde. For a group, husks weren't an issue. They existed. They could end a life. But community provides predictability, and the right kind of predictability greatly increases the group's chances of survival. I looked to my creeper, Night Eyes. We'd all taken to call ourselves different names from the ones we had before. These are names we had chosen, or had the community choose for us. Most of the people in successful colonies were happier after everything than they had ever had the opportunity to be before society as we know it ended. "Los pinches chupacabras, man," he said. "I just want to go to bed right now and this puta madres get in our way." He smiled, the years of working in the sun showing in his wrinkled features. I laughed. It was nice to see him smiling again. "Vámonos, chupacabra," I said. He chased me back to camp. Later that night, after the community dinner that was customary after a supply run, I opened the small diary I had found. I found the last entry. I always started at the end and worked my way back. It seemed fitting. "Why do you do this to yourself?" It was Night Eyes. He was always near, always prepared to help. "It's my way of paying homage to those that got burnt by humanity's flame," I said. Night Eyes was also always prepared to leave well enough alone. 2033, Monday, April 4th. It's been a few days since I've seen the outside. Lisa doesn't want to go out. It's been 8 months since the outbreak. 8 months since I saw the outside every day rather than once in a while. I'm about to lose my sanity, I think. For now, I keep my peace. Don't say my piece. But life in these new dark days is a whole different affair, and I can only remain silent for so long. This is not the way to survive. Survival requires proactive reasoning and almost constant movement. Alas, Lisa knows nothing of this. I can remember that I loved her, but her fear tugs at my heartstrings like a reaper or a devil, intent on dragging me into a dungeon or the afterlife. But there is no afterlife here. There's only the destruction man has caused. Lisa's attempts to hold on to some semblance of a proper, acceptable middle-class American life within these walls surrounded by the grotesque, lifeless-eyed ex-humans that lurk outside of them have only convinced me even more of this. We never let go. Just let go, babe. Or let me go. But she will not. She persists. And I am nothing but a human also. A human who loves a woman to death. Truly to death. And I, even as I fight to make a decision, am aware that I have already given up. I will not survive. I will eke it out here with Lisa until those things finally succeed in busting down the door, or we run out of ways to sever their ugly heads. Or worse, until we run out of food and rot here, wasting away until the cells in our bodies cease to have energy to continue living. I can't help but think, and think, and think, and think. And finally think that this is a fitting way for a human being to die. Cold, wasted, used, drained of all our resources, and empty, like the society that we created and then destroyed. Why did we destroy it? But more, why did we bother to create it? I feel like I'll never know. I, in fact, know that I'll never know because society has already breathed its last breath. And I, as I have decided indefinitely to stay here with my wife, shall soon follow suit. As I finished the entry, I realized almost all at once the uncanny similarity between our writer's voice. I realized I'd been imagining the words as my own, and that had made the person's words hit close to home the way other diaries' words had not. These had been stories. This one was a cautionary tale written, it seemed, for me directly, and found at just the right time. I noted that it had been written a little over 2 years ago. Not that time had any real meaning anymore.